All right, so let's go ahead and do running total in. Let's right click, go to show values as, running total in, based off the salesperson, press OK. Now what this is doing, it's taking the first number, 171 by Angela, then it's adding Creed's data, 150 to get us 321, then it's adding Dwight's data to get us 421, and so on and so forth, all the way until we have our grand total of Ryan. Let's go ahead and check part of this. Let's say equals 171. You notice it has this get pivot data formula automatically when you reference something in a pivot table, which is this whole thing right here. So basically all this is just kind of showing you what the pivot data is, what you're referencing, what your main category is, your subcategory, the salesperson, and then specifically which salesperson, that kind of stuff. So you don't have to think too hard about that. That's just kind of Excel's way of referencing pivot tables. So equals B5 plus Creed, enter. Oh, I'm trying to reference it as a percentage. Let's go general. Yep, 321. So it's taking Angela, then plus that, then all the way down here until we get to Ryan. That'll be our subtotal for this section, 2451. Let's do a couple more. Let's add that one. Let's add one more, I think. There we go. I have to delete this. There we go. For this one, this will be percent running total in. So it works pretty similar to how the difference from and the percent difference from is. Alright, let's go show values as percent running total in. Okay. So now it's saying that Angela makes up 6.98%, just like we see here. There we go. But instead of just showing that, then it says, okay, what about Angela and Creed? Well, they make up 13.1%. Well, what about Angela, Creed, and Dwight? Well, they make up 17%. All the way when it gets to Ryan, it says our 100% total. Also, let's do, after we do this one, we'll do a separate pivot table to do a couple of more. But for this one, let's go with rank. So rank smallest to largest. Let's go smallest to largest. Salesperson. And let's go ahead and press Control 1. Let's go to General. Let's go to Number. There we go. So now I say, okay, what are these numbers here? Well, look at the number 1. Well, that shows us who performed the worst. It's showing us the smallest number, smallest to largest, as 1. The largest number is 11. It'll be Michael Scott. He performed the best. Now, in this particular case, smallest to largest doesn't really make too much sense. Let's call it rank. So for this one, let's change it to largest to smallest. There we go. So now Michael Scott is number 1 because he performed the best with 555 orders. So now easily you can tell who did the best, who did the worst, and their rank. So let's say your boss really wanted it to be ordered by, something else, maybe by a specific name, maybe A to Z, for instance. Says, I really want it to be by A to Z, so let's keep it that way. But you still wanted to know at a glance who did the best, who did the worst, and without going over here and saying, okay, which one's bigger? You can just go over here. Okay, 1, there it is. He did the best. One who did the worst was Dwight. And of course, if we were to sort it by the salesperson, let's go more sort options. Let's go descending, rank. Okay. Well, then obviously it would give us all 1 to 11 for the rank. There's a couple more show values as, but I want to do a different table. But I want to make it into a different pivot table because there's a couple of different ways I like to do this. Let's go ahead and insert a pivot table. I already have it saved here. But you could go to Insert, Pivot Table, New Worksheet, yes. Call this Pivot 2. Okay. Same as before. Let's go City. Let's go Salesperson. Let's put number of orders. There we go. Now for this one, actually, instead of Salesperson, let's go Years. Let's go ahead and filter out just look at 2019, 2020. Let's go show values as. Let's go percent of. This shows you the percent of a particular item. For years, let's go to previous year. Press OK. So now you can see, well, 2019, well, obviously it's 100% of itself, but 2020, since sales of that year is not over, it only performed 17% of 2019. To kind of show you it in numbers, let's put one right in front of it. Yeah, 2071 compared to 359. Yep, that's only 17% of its previous one. Now, this would work better if you had more years. So you would have, so it would all be laid out by previous years so you can kind of see it. Then you can graph it to kind of see how you did by year. Since we only have 2 years, this is kind of what we're stuck with. So if we didn't want to do it by year, you notice when I take that away, all these become NA values because they're looking at it by year. So I just take that away. Now let's do it by salesperson. There we go. And let's change this to percent of. Let's compare people to, let's say Michael. Let's go with Creed again. There we go. Now you'll see Creed, if you compare it to himself, it's 100%, because Creed's number divided by Creed's number is 1, or 100%. Angela did a bit better, 14% better. See, Dwight a little bit worse. Michael did much better. So that kind of shows you a percentage based off of the person. So that's kind of how percent of works. So hopefully you learned a lot of useful tips and different ways of looking at your data from pivot tables. I'm going to leave these pivot tables as is because I want you to see all the different ways you can show your values. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you again in the next lesson.